Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the best animated shows ever, so far, with MC and Troy.
Hi, I'm Troy, or Troidal Power. No, I'll probably just be trying this. Let me try that again. Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Michael, but I'm better known as MC.
As you, Michael. And this is the as yet unnamed podcast in which MC and I watch old cartoons and
New cartoons.
And new cartoons, yeah, why not? Originally, I just wanted to do old cartoons, but honestly, watching this cartoon made me more inclined to look at new cartoons as well.
Yeah. No, well, here's the thing. When we do new cartoons, there won't be the nostalgia aspect as when we go back and watch old cartoons. And then we can have a discussion more about the nostalgia of a show when we get to those older cartoons. Whereas if, like this show, when we watch the newer stuff, we can talk about how we might have wanted these shows when we were younger.
Sure. Yeah, I
because
think that's fair.
This show, very much, I wish I had this show when I was like 12 or 13.
Interesting.
Like the same age as the character, sort of.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Yeah, I could see that. So the show we're watching, or the show we watched, is My Hero Academia, and we're just talking about the first episode today, right? Because we're going to do 3 episodes for the 3 episodes. Okay. So we watched the first episode of My Hero Academia, which I went to pull some information about this, and I don't know if we want to talk about this kind of stuff normally, but it was written and illustrated by the same guy whose name I definitely won't be able to say correctly, but it's Kihei Horikoshi, maybe? And it was adapted for an anime by Bones. I don't know what Bones is, but that's what Wikipedia told me the adaptation was done by, just Bones. But what I thought was interesting about it is that this first episode, Izuku Midoriya Origin, aired on April 3rd, 2016 in Japan, and didn't air in English until May 5th of 2018, which is this year. And I had no idea. I feel like I've been hearing about this show for a very long time. But if it only first came out here like 6 months ago, I guess I haven't been.
Yeah, no, it's seriously been this year, and it blew up. Like, it got real popular.
Yeah.
Like, real fast.
I've heard about it all over the place. I guess one of the things I want to do on this is talk about what we know about the show, what we remember about the show before watching it. And mine on this will be real short, and I'm sure you'll have a lot more. So I'm going to get mine out of the way first. I knew 2 things about this show. One is I knew it involved kids becoming superheroes, and I mostly know about that from listening to a like RPG actual play podcast called Very Random Encounters that did a season inspired by this, where they were kids with superpowers. And I know that at some point there's a character that is like problematically horny. And those are the only 2 things that I know about the show.
I'm going to tell you the truth. My story is even shorter.
I thought you would watch all this. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No. So, my introduction to this show was Scoot.
Okay.
Scoot.
Of course.
Scoot's where I get most of my anime suggestions from. And I guess when it first came out, like the first episode, he waited until like 5 episodes or something had come out, and he was like, "You have to go watch this show." So I went and watched it, and I was like, "You son of a bitch," because during episode 2, there's a moment right at the end. You know the bit that I'm talking about. I just cried.
Yeah, I can totally see that. This strikes me as being right up your alley, this show.
Yeah, it is.
And it's pretty right up my alley as well. But we'll get to that later. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Well, like when I first saw this, I had no idea or anything about the show. And then I like I said, I like sat down and I watched the first 5 episodes, and I binge watched those first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So, like I had to go back and re-watch them and take the notes for the while we were doing because we were doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I reckon we should talk about sort of like the start of the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to start the summary? Or you want me to?
I'll let you start it.
All right. I wrote up my fancy summary, so I'm gonna go through my first part of my summary here, establishing the world and stuff. So, man, it's really hard not to want to do like a movie announcer voice for this. Izuku Midoriya is a normal kid. I'm not gonna do that because I will annoy myself if I do that. Izuku Midoriya is a normal kid in a world of superheroes. For unknown reasons, human evolution seems to have jump-started, and now 80% of the population have some sort of special abilities called quirks. For most, being able to levitate small objects or glow just augments their daily life. But some rise to the call of becoming heroes to fight against those who use their quirks for evil. Do you want to talk there, or do you want me to go through the superhero fight?
No, go through the superhero fight. Yeah.
Okay. When a group of superheroes, including a giant woman named Mount Lady, a firefighting-based hero named Backdraft, a strongman named Death Arms, and a wood-based Mr. Fantastic clone named Kamui Woods, team up to take on a giant villain terrorizing the city, junior high school student Izuku Midoriya, our protagonist and narrator, takes notes on the hero's abilities and fighting techniques. While across town, a slime monster goes on the attack, and a scrawny man steps out of the shadows, then goes super swole, proclaiming, "I am here." MC, tell me about how you felt about this first conflict, this first fight.
Oh, well, let's talk about, first off, them revealing, the, like, how these powers came to be in this world.
Okay, sure.
The first one, it shows up in China, and it's just a glowing baby.
Mm-hmm. Like you do. Gotta love a glowing baby.
And then there's just, like, this burst of, like, all these powers that sort of come out, and people, like, and it's, like, 80% of the world. And the main show focuses on this one kid who doesn't have a quirk.
He's so sad.
He's one of the 20%. He's one of the minority.
I wanted to ask you, and see, I'm worried that this might be like spoilers, but maybe I just missed it. Do they, or have they, or do they establish how long ago that first quirk showed up?
I think they might have mentioned it in that beginning bit, but I don't remember.
Okay, because my initial impression was that it was like fairly recently, but then there's conversations even in these first 3 episodes that we've watched so far where like it sounds like it's been like a couple generations that quirks have been around.
It's like I think they say it's like 50 years or something, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think it's just like it's happened, but I'm really not sure because like as you can see, like 80% of the world is quirked.
And presumably that percentage, I would assume, if we jump forward another 50 years in this show, is gonna grow. Like it seems like it is. I mean, to go to Marvel Comics, this is like House of M, where the mutants are the superior race and Homo sapiens are being just replaced by Homo superior.
Well, also that they're going to be breeding together. It's not like
because it's a genetics thing of some sort.
Yeah, because they explain that in the show. Like they don't know where these powers are coming from, but it seems to be in the family. Like I think that's
in episode 2 that gets talked about more, right?
Yeah, episode 2, and then even later on, like in the show, they have this whole story about like the genetics and the powers and how that they sort of work together. Okay,
cool. Well, we don't need to go too far into that now because I know this first episode doesn't explain it much. But yeah, it's a cool premise, and I kind of like actually that the show doesn't dwell too much on the premise. It's just kind of like superheroes, here you go, and it launches you straight into it. It reminded me of Pacific Rim, where the start of Pacific Rim is like giant monsters and robots. Anyway, let's watch them fight.
Yeah, and they just sort of shove you into that world, and they're like, yeah, there's villains, but there's also heroes, and there's normal people on the street who are just standing around who aren't heroes. That they look different. They have quirks and stuff, and you're like,
oh,
that's
guy
just
with the weird stars sticking off his head or something. Like that's his quirk, is that he has like weird stars on his head.
Yeah, and he's not a hero. He's just an ordinary guy, and he's just standing there on the street.
Yeah, I like that, it's a cool premise, and the reactions of the crowd is what really cracked me up in that. Is that like nobody's like, oh my gosh, a giant like weird shark man is terrorizing the train. Instead, people are like, I'm gonna be late for work.
yeah, it's like an everyday thing for them now.
Yeah, it just happens, you know.
Oh, that's my favorite bit. The guy who's calling into work and he's like, yeah, there's a villain on the train tracks. I'm gonna be late. And it sounds like that when he's talking to his boss on the phone. Like, he sounds
his boss
so...
is like, again? It's like a traffic jam. Like, it just happens. It's a fact of life. Let's see. Let's talk about the team up. We've got, it seems like Backdraft, Death Arms, and Kamui Woods.
So, Death Arms is the first one that you see.
Uh-huh. He's just got big arms. He's real strong.
Oh, yeah. And he's got weird like caution stripes on him, and
there's a lot of superhero costumes. They hit every possible permutation.
And they're so weird sometimes. You're just like, I don't understand what that has to do with your power, but okay.
Yeah, it doesn't. They do talk about in this that like superheroes are professionals, but a lot of their ability to like make a livelihood from superheroing is based on popularity. So there's like definitely a push towards flashiness, and they established that real early on. That like these are not police, these are celebrities, and like people are like, oh man, Death Arms is here. Like the crowd is like pumped that he's there.
And then I think it's Backdraft.
He's the firefighter guy with the water.
Yeah, and he throws up some sort of caution barrier between the crowd and the villain.
Aqua kinetic, so he can control water. So he uses like water jets to make a police barrier, but out of water jets. I was like, that's cool. That's a weird use of power, but I kind of like it. It was totally not offensive. It was pure crowd control, which was kind of cool to see.
Yeah. And then, the wood-based one.
Kamui, I think.
Kamui Woods.
Yeah. The problem with trying to take notes on a show with a lot of superhero and Japanese names is that autocorrect betrays me. So if I'm saying anybody's name totally wrong, it's either because A, I don't remember how it was pronounced, or B, my autocorrect completely changed the spelling on the thing. But the way I have it written down is Kamui Woods.
Yeah. So he's a superhero who has wood limbs that he can manipulate and turn into different shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like stretching his arms and stuff, and he's flinging around this villain. And it looks like he's about to take care of this villain when the last superhero that you talk about shows up.
Yeah, Mount Lady shows up. She real big.
Yeah, she's taller than the giant villain that's terrorizing these train tracks.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot to mention what the villain did to start all this commotion.
Yeah,
he snatched a purse.
Yeah, I have written down a great line here from Kamui Woods, because Kamui Woods, I called him a Mr. Fantastic knockoff. I mean, he's Groot. Like, he's just Groot, except for he can talk. But, like, his power set is he is Groot. But he can talk, and he has a great line where he says, "Assault, robbery, and illegal use of powers during rush hour traffic. You are the incarnation of evil." Which is, I love that it ends with illegal use of powers during traffic. That's the worst thing you did. Oh, you're such a bad person because you illegally used your powers during rush hour traffic and made Jim over there late for work.
I agree. When you're stuck in traffic, it's the most evil thing ever.
Absolutely. The person who causes that is the most evil. The very incarnation of evil. He's the worst. Do we even get a name for this shark dude? Was he a shark dude? I kept thinking he was a shark dude. He kind of had a shark snout, and he was big.
I thought he was kind of like ferret-like.
Okay, yeah, because he was ferret colored for sure.
Yeah, like I kept visualizing ferrets because he had really tiny eyes as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So but he had one. It was a triangular head.
Yeah, that's what gave me shark was the shape of his head. But
yeah,
I mean, his power seems to be he looks weird and he also big. He a big boy, but Mount Lady, she a bigger boy girl, and she comes in and just punts him, just kicks him down the street.
Yeah, she has the best entrance ever. So Mr. Woods is trying to contain this giant man.
Ferret.
Yeah, with
the Sherrit, if you will,
with his arm prison.
Yeah, Izuki's kind of narrating this, and he's saying that like, oh, he's gonna use his special ability, which is to like turn his arms into a wooden cage. It looks like is what he's going for.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he gets drop kicked out of nowhere by this giant lady. It's the best thing ever.
It is. It's very good. And
then the whole crowd is like, "Oh, it's Mount Lady! It's that new
everybody's
hero."
pumped. Everybody's taking pictures. Everybody's going money shot, money shot, money shot.
No, it's not money shot. It's I have one. I think
I have one. What?
No,
they said money shot, weren't they?
What? I can't remember now. But...
Wait. Important question. Subs or dubs?
This is subtitled.
Oh, see, I watched it dubbed. I wonder if they translated that differently.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So yeah.
Weird. That's weird that's different. But anyway.
So I think in the Japanese version it's supposed to be less. Like it's supposed to be more a comment on the nature of paparazzi rather than like money shot.
Yeah, it was a little weird. And then her response is like to be totally cool with it, and she's like, "Check out my giant bum." And I mean, that's not a direct quote, but it made me a little worried. I'll be honest. I'm not a huge anime fan, and one of the things that frustrates me about anime sometimes is that like anime often has very sexual content in a show for kids, and this is 6 minutes in, she's like, "Check out my giant bum," and I was like, oh no.
So I think this show does a great premise of like making fun of that, because there's something that you mentioned in about there's a character later on in the show, and he is terrible. Like he's supposed to be terrible.
Yeah, that's so. What I've heard about him is that he's supposed to be a commentary. Basically, he is an example of an awful human. The problem is there's a lot of people who like him and don't seem to understand that he's supposed to be terrible, and they think that he's great. I don't know. I'm talking on my ass because I haven't obviously seen that part of the show, but that's what I've heard is that he is intentionally problematic, but some people who like him don't get that it's supposed to be bad.
I didn't know that about people, that they didn't realize that he's supposed to be like the worst.
Okay.
And every time he says this stuff, and like they marginalize his voice a little bit more, and it's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be cringing at that character.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we watch more of it, I'm curious to see him, because that is something that I typically get frustrated with in TV shows is that kind of a character. And that's what I've heard, is that there are people who don't get the point of him, I guess is how I would say it. And that's But like I said, this
But-
moment in this episode, this one moment happens, and then there's nothing else that's problematic about it. So
No.
for a second, I was worried, and then I mean, in the 3 episodes we've watched so far, I haven't nothing else like that has come up. But it was a weird tone setting thing that Mount Lady's first thing she does is she kicks a guy and then shows off her butt.
Okay, so it does happen more and more in the show, but it's more of a setup
Okay.
for that other character
Okay.
to be creepy.
There's a point for why they do that kind of stuff. It doesn't just happen. Fair enough. Let's see.
And then I think it goes from the police carting off that villain to the scene with the other villain.
Yeah, we cut across town somewhere. I don't think they really clearly state, but there's a goopy slime monster. Just imagine a goopy slime monster. It's that. It's exactly what a goopy slime monster would look like.
He's dark green. Dark green. He has some big eyes and a big mouth, and he's goopy and green. Imagine if Nickelodeon slime became sentient, and then sort of rolled around in the mud a bit.
Ugh.
That's
somehow
kind of...
that part is what ruined it. I was with you until then, and then rolled around in mud. Just the idea of slime rolling in mud it's a bad look. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but that's technically that villain that I described it fairly accurately. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And then there's a crowd watching him, and everyone's like, "Where are the heroes? Where are the heroes?" And then some really scrawny dude steps out of the shadows, and then hulks out. It looks like we don't really see who he is at this point.
Yeah. At that point, he's still a shadowy figure, and he hasn't been introduced.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the opening credits. So in the opening credits, there's very clearly one dude who's super buff, and there's a focus on him.
He is the quote unquote the Superman character.
Absolutely. But at this point, it was weird because he was in the credits. I was like, oh, it's that guy from the credits. But outside of the credits, the show hasn't mentioned him at all yet.
They haven't mentioned his name.
Interesting fact I found out. In the manga, that scene doesn't happen. In the manga, you don't see him go from scrawny to buff at that scene. That scene just doesn't exist in the manga. They added that specifically for the anime version. And my thought on it, I think why they did it, is because they wanted to have a little bit of mystery in the first episode. Because if that's not there, that's not there, it's the superhero's just a buff guy. But you see that and you're like, oh, there's something to this.
That's this episode's Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. It's totally setting up clearly we're going to find out more about this, and you don't, not in this episode, but it comes up immediately in episode 2. But I thought when I was doing some Googling on this, I saw that wasn't in the manga, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Do you say manga or manga?
Manga.
Manga? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a long A? I don't remember how vowels work. I think that's a long A, right?
I think maybe.
And the other one's a short A? Manga would be a short A.
Manga. Yeah. Manga is a longer A, yeah.
It sounds longer. Let's go with it. I have no idea. Why are we talking about this?
Because
I don't really have anything to add to him going super buff at this point because we don't really know anything about it at this point. So,
and then it cuts to Midoriya. Midoriya. How do you pronounce his name?
Midoriya? Midoriya is how I've been saying it. I also called him Izuku. Also, sometimes they call him Deku, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
Deku.
I'm like the tree? Why is that his name? I don't understand entirely how Japanese names work. We watch a lot of Terrace House, and I don't half the time I don't know who they're talking about because everybody has 4 names associated with them.
Deku. I think it's supposed to be an insult the way that the bullies use it.
Oh, I feel bad. I called him Deku everywhere in my notes because it was the fastest one to type.
No. Don't worry. Because of what happens, it's episode 4, but or 5. I think.
Does he own it?
It's later on. Yeah, he owns it.
Cool.
He embraces the insult and.
Is that his superhero name?
Yes, it is.
Spoilers, but that's pretty cool. You wanna steal my notes for the recap of the school stuff, and you can do that part.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Even though he doesn't have a power, junior high school student Midoriya hopes to go to UA High School, the elite academy for those who hope to become heroes. It's only been recently that the rules changed to even consider allowing in normal humans. Bakugo, it's Midoriya's childhood bully, is sure that his ability to combust objects he can touch is going to get him into the school, and continues to bully the hero fanboy, burning up and tossing aside volume 13 of Midoriya's hero notes. So, we forgot to mention at the hero fight that he was witnessing at the train station, the whole time he's standing there taking notes on the sidelines.
Yeah, he's got a notebook that's got like illustrations of the heroes and writing all over the pages about like what their abilities are, their like fighting techniques, their special techniques, which is why he was so excited when Groot was gonna do his special attack, because he's like, oh, that's his special ability. So yeah, he's like just constantly taking notes about the heroes. And so wait, Katsuki or Bakugo? Which do we call him?
It's Bakugo. Yeah, Bakugo.
I'm gonna be honest. In my notes, I called him Spike, because he reminded me a lot of Spike from Buffy. So in all of my notes, he's just called Spike. He's a jerk, and we actually saw him at the beginning. I didn't include this in my recap, but the opening scene of the show is when they're like 4 years old. And
4 or 5. They're supposed to be in like kindergarten, and they're bullying. Those are the kids. I'm guessing they just got their quirks or whatever, or they're using their quirks against this smaller kid, and Midori steps in to stop the bullying, and
which was a very Captain America moment to me, where I was like, you can't take these guys, but you're gonna do it anyway because you know it's the right thing to do. Way to go, kid.
Yeah, and he steps up and he's like, no, you shouldn't be using your powers for this sort of stuff, and they don't listen, and they tease him, and they literally say, you're a quirkless Deku or something like that, don't they?
Is that
Deku
might have been. I might have missed that. What do my notes say? Izumi defends a crying kid from Katsuki and mocks him for not having a quirk. Then they go fall and attack and beat the crap out of him. Yay for small children getting beaten up. Oh snap, he's 4 years old. He doesn't even have powers. Maybe they do call him Deku there. But yeah, so this kid, he's had so wait, Midori is what you call him, not Izuku?
Because Izuku is his last name.
Okay. I think most
because
of the
he's
stuff I was
Japanese.
looking at called him. Yeah. Okay. So Midori, he like since being a kid, even though he doesn't have powers, has always been like he's the kind of guy who steps up and does the right thing. And this jerk Spike has been bullying him since he was 4 years old. Like, back off, dude. Get a new hobby.
He has a very strong power. Like you talk about, like he has exploding. He makes things explode. His hair very much shows off his power. It's like it looks like an explosion's on his head.
Absolutely. He's a jerk, and he's got a jerk power. That's not a good power. That's a mean power.
No, but like because he has a strong power, he's saying
he's super entitled. Like
he is very entitled. He's like, I got this great power. I'm gonna be the best, sort of thing. He has that mentality, and he doesn't think about how a hero should act. He's just acting how he wants to act.
Yep. Whereas, Midori's all about like what it means to be a hero, and powers are part of that, but not all of it. Yeah, no,
he comes at it with the attitude, whereas Bakugo comes at it from the power aspect of, I have power, I'm going to use my power. Yeah. It should be for good.
Should be, but how do you turn a explodey power to good? Like that, it's hard to do good with explodey powers.
But in his own way, like the way he thinks is, I'm strong, I need to protect the weak.
Yeah.
And
or
he's like,
I think he thinks I'm strong, I get to protect the weak, not I need
no,
to. I
no,
get
yeah,
to.
I get to. That's very correct. But the other thing is he's like, his thinking is, if Midoriya goes into this hero thing and he gets in his way, he's gonna have to protect him. So it's sort of like, you don't really get that from the way he's acting at in this stage.
Yeah.
But the blowing up of the book, he sees that as trying to protect him, I think, because
interesting.
Because he's
Trying
like,
to keep
you
him
don't
out of
have a
harm's
quirk.
way.
Yeah, like, it's very mean.
Yeah.
But I think because he has this power, he feels entitled that he should be like, no, you don't have the power.
Okay, I can see that. I think that's a generous read on him, but I can totally see where you're coming from with it. And I actually have one note on it.
So this is so I'm not a big fan of his, but
Okay.
I know there's a lot of people who are fans of his. So it's sort of like, yeah, you get, I get that idea, and how that's a generous read, but at the same time, he's a bully and a jerk.
He is, yeah. But here's what's interesting. So his power is hold a thingy, explode a thingy. And he does that to the notebook and then chucks it out the window. But then Midori goes and picks it up again, and the notebook's like pretty fine. It's like lightly scorched. Yeah. So I wondered in that moment, I'm like, did he because he chucked it out the window into a pond, and I almost wanted to give him the generous read that he did that on purpose, that he didn't actually want to destroy the thing. He wanted to be a bully, because it seems like that's just in his character, is to be a bully, but he didn't really want to destroy this notebook, so he chucked it in some water. And I don't think he could tell that pond was outside necessarily, but I did think it was interesting that the notebook wasn't totally destroyed.
I mean, he's in that classroom every single day. I think he knows there's a pond out that window.
That's true. So maybe he did do it on purpose. Let's assume that he's not a total
but
jerk, because
it's also ruining the notebook because he threw it in water. Like,
yeah, it's not in great shape.
Yeah.
So then Izuku's walking home, or Midori, excuse me, is walking home, and what do you know? It's the big slime. Did you have something still?
You know, I'm just gonna call him Watermelon from now on because you keep calling him Midori.
Is Midoriya? How do you say it?
Yeah, Midoriya.
Midoriya.
Yeah. But because you keep calling him Midori, I just keep thinking of Watermelon Midori.
I don't know what that is.
Alcohol?
Is that an alcoholic beverage? Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. Midoriya.
Yeah.
Midoriya.
Yeah.
While Midoriya walks home.
Let's just call him Deku.
No, but not if that's a mean name. He hasn't owned it yet. He hasn't embraced that name yet. While Midoriya walks home, he gets attacked by our friend the Goo Monster and is nearly suffocated as the creature tries to take him over as a skin suit. Just when hope seems lost, All Might, the greatest hero of them all, shows up to save the day. When the hero tries to leave the scene of the rescue after trapping the Goo Monster in soda bottles, Midoriya attaches to his leg, like he just jumps on his leg gets dragged off with him, and then ultimately is like, hey dude, is it possible for someone like me to be a hero? And All Might kind of looks back over his shoulder at him, and then the episode ends.
Yep.
That Goo Monster is nasty.
Oh my god, yeah. And he's like real creepy, like the things that he says, and
he wants to take him as a skin suit.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing to do.
And he's like trying to shove himself down the kid's throat.
Yeah, really graphically trying to shove himself down the kid's throat. It was upsetting. Like, yeah,
it's terrifying for a few seconds, and then you're like, wait, this is just this can't be this, like, how this thing goes.
And then Midoriya was suffocated by the Goo Monster who wore him as a skin suit. End of show.
Yeah, exactly. but then all of a sudden All Might just shows up and just like I think it's like one massive punch or something. Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, he handles him soundly very quickly. And I just realized actually we did see a little bit of All Might earlier. I skipped over. There was scenes of Midoriya as a kid watching YouTube videos of All Might.
Yeah.
So we know that like
section.
Yeah. During that section we saw some flashbacks.
Yeah. And you know All Might saves people with a smile, and Midoriya is watching that clip of him laughing, carrying like 10 people out of like a disaster zone and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they ever really say what that disaster was, just that it was real bad, and then All Might saved a bunch of people.
Yeah.
We also, holy snap, I skipped over the doctor was in this episode too. I thought that was next episode. Where the doctor's like, oh, you're not going to get a quirk because you've got 2 joints in your pinky toe, and people with quirks only have 1 joint in their pinky toe.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the genetic markers that mark quirks. You lose one of the joints in your pinky toe.
I completely thought that was in episode 2, but it was in flashbacks in this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, All Might shows up. He punches Goo to bits and bottles him up.
And then uses a couple of bottles to hold him.
His punch that he does, his one punch, you know, he is the kind of man who uses one punch to defeat enemies.
Tiger Smash or something.
You could call him a one punch man. The punch he uses, he shouts out Texas Smash.
Oh yeah, Texas Smash.
Which as soon as he did that, I remembered that's another thing I know about the show is that apparently all of All Might's attacks are like the name of a location in the United States and then what he is doing as he does the thing.
Yeah, because he's the Superman Captain America hero for the whole world. Like I'm pretty sure he has like a big star on his chest, and
yeah, we don't see that in this. He's just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt.
No, you see it in the opening, but
that's right, and in the flashbacks it shows it.
Yeah, and it's like all red and blue and white, and he's like,
definitely like the all-American hero.
Yeah, and his blue eyes and blonde hair. Although his eyes do have one specific difference, he doesn't have whites; they're all black.
Yeah. His eyes are creepy is what they are.
Yeah, it's like electric blue irises just, and then black all around the rest.
Yeah, I don't like his eyes. They unsettled me immediately. I was like, ugh, he's spooky.
Yeah, and then All Might's like, he's like, you can see he's like, I gotta get out of here. And
yeah.
Midoriya is like trying to keep talking to him, and he's like, he's like, oh, I want to get an autograph, and All Might's already done it.
That's one of my favorite moments.
Midoriya's
I loved it so much.
Passed out.
Yeah, he's like, can I get your autograph? He already signed it. Like, I don't know why, but that made me so happy.
Yeah.
And then there's a part here where All Might kind of off to the side coughs and like coughs up a little bit of blood and thinks to himself, he goes, shit. And it's like, what is happening? So it's adding to the him getting swollen. We're like, there's something going on here.
Something's going on. And then he's like trying to rush this conversation with this fanboying kid, and this kid is just like, I need to ask you all these sorts of questions and stuff. And then he's like, gotta go, and he jumps, and then it cuts to All Might in his jump.
Flying through
like,
the air.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not going as far as I should. And he looks down, and Midoriya's gripped onto his legs with all 4 limbs.
Yeah, with like the flesh on his face getting peeled back because they're going so fast.
Yeah, and
to the point where at some point All Might's like, okay, just close your mouth and your eyes.
Yeah. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I got more questions. And he's like, okay, you gotta wait until we land. Just close your eyes and mouth and we'll be fine. He's like, it's hurting.
That was another. The animation on this show is very good, and that was another moment where it's like I didn't expect to see someone's like eyelids peeling back.
Oh yeah,
in this kids show, but dang, do they do a good job of having someone's eyelids peel back?
I'm like, I'm very surprised at like Japanese animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, okay, this is for like kid shows and stuff, but we're gonna like push the envelope a little bit. Maybe get them like into a little bit more scary areas, a little bit like more gross areas than Western animation does. But I find it like most of it doesn't go too far.
Most of the time, yeah. That's one of the things that you know what I think it is that I feel like Japanese animation more than Western animation is willing to break style. Like a Western animated thing is typically going to be animated in one style throughout the entire show or movie or whatever it is. And I think that Japanese animation is more willing to change that style, which is where you get like, you know, chibi characters in the middle of a scene when someone's feeling like embarrassed, they'll suddenly be drawn like all chibi style.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that they're just Japanese animation is more willing to be fluid in terms of style, whereas Western animation typically, like when you're making a show, you pick an animation style and very rarely do you shift from that at all.
Yeah.
I like it though. I think the animation in this is fantastic throughout.
It looks so good.
Yeah. And from what I gather, it's pretty much like directly animating what was on the page of the manga. It sounds like that, like shot for shot in a lot of cases.
Oh, that's nice.
It's showing what was originally there. Yeah. So then All Might drops him on a roof, and Midoriya still wants to ask questions, but like he's having trouble figuring out what he wants to ask, and just kind of blurts out that question that ends the episode, which is it possible for a kid like me without a quirk to become a hero? And we don't get All Might's answer. He just kind of turns and looks over his shoulder, and then I think that it's after he says that the camera kind of comes out, and we hear Midoriya as the narrator say, "I didn't realize it at that time, but that chance encounter would change my entire future."
Yeah.
Cuts to credits. And
there's a really cool Japanese rock song that plays.
Dang, did it make me immediately want to watch episode 2. That was a great end to an episode. I was not fully into this all the way throughout. I was like, okay, it's kind of a cool world, but like,
so
beyond being a cool world, I wasn't super into it until that look over All Might's shoulder where I was like, you've got something. There's something you're not saying right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the end credits are really good. But if anyone doesn't want spoilers for like the next episode, I reckon just go look it up on YouTube. Because at the end of the episodes, there's like a little clip for the next episode.
Yeah, I accidentally let the credits play long enough to see that one time. I didn't realize it was there.
So this is what happens with some of these animations. Like you get really into the song and the clip that plays as the credits roll, and then you accidentally see stuff for the next episode. So my suggestion is go look up a one online. Just so you can
watch
listen to the whole song. Yeah.
It's a good song. Both the opening and the closing song.
So it changes from episode to episode, the opening sequence. I'm not sure if you've caught that yet.
I did not. No.
For the actual first 3 episodes, I noticed it because when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, "Oh, that's different."
Oh, okay. So it
because
kind
I
of
watched
evolves.
them in a row.
Again. I will have to go back and look at those. I did not realize that. That's cool.
Like because I think for the first like the opening sequence happens 2 or 3 minutes into the show, and I think even one's like 6 or 7 minutes into the show before I think you see the opening sequence.
I didn't realize that. That's a problem of trying to take notes when I watch stuff, is that when the opening credits come up, it's like, oh good, this is a chance for me to catch up on notes I was trying to take.
Yeah, no, like it's a fair decent way into the episode before the credits roll, that like the opening sequence, like. So
I know in this episode it was right away because we saw that quick scene of the bullying when they're kids, and then it's immediately into the credits.
I think it's like episode 3, and it's like 4 It's like definitely 4 or 5 minutes into the show before it comes up.
Huh. That's kind of cool. I like when there's a cold open on a show. Star Trek has historically done that, and I've always liked that. The idea of kind of introducing what the premise of this week's episode is going to be, and then getting into the credits. I like that hook. Doctor Who used to do it. They haven't been doing it this season. It's interesting. I don't know that I like the change.
I really like the new opening.
Yeah.
Music.
The music is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the new season. I just don't know that I like that particular change of getting rid of the opening teaser.
I forgot that it aired. I was like, oh, Doctor Who should be on. And I went and looked it up. I'm like, oh, 5 episodes are out. Sweet. And just went and binged watch 5 episodes on ABC Stream. So here in Australia.
It's on ABC?
Yeah. So
Weird.
ABC is the Australian broadcast company or something.
Okay. Not the same ABC we've got.
No. In fact, it's like partnered with the BBC.
Okay, cool. Do they then?
Because
does it do commercial breaks in it or no?
No.
Oh,
no,
you
it's
lucky
a government.
jerk.
It's a government organized thing.
So BBC America puts commercial breaks in Doctor Who, and it's awful. And then they'll do a thing where they're like, listen, we know that you're just going to fast forward through these commercial breaks. We know you're not watching. So you'll like get to the end of a scene and then there'll be commercials and you're like, fast forward. And then you'll see Doctor Who on. So you hit play and it's just like a 30-second clip of something that comes later in the episode. So in the commercial breaks, they put in a spoiler for something that happens later, and then they're like, more Doctor Who coming up, and they play more commercials. So it's just a way to trick you into hitting the play button so that you then watch the second set of commercials. It's awful. We don't watch it on TV anymore. We just went and bought it on Amazon because like it's such a miserable experience watching it that way.
So there are other like networks here in Australia that like you have to pay or watch ads to get those as streaming services, but for ABC, because it's all government, they don't run ads. So
That's fantastic.
I just stream it on my PlayStation and just watch it all.
That's fantastic. I'm jealous. You've seen this before. I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thoughts are going back to this. Did you still like this first episode?
Yeah. No. Well.
Okay.
Here's the thing. This episode's meant to draw you into this world.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
You immediately want to go and watch the next episode after watching this episode because of how it ends and where you think that it's going to go. And you just want to go and watch the next episode. Like, the only difference now is I know what's coming in the next episode.
Right.
So
See, to me, I almost feel like that would make this episode less interesting because that, like, mystery was the most interesting thing about this episode to me. Like, the world building was fine. The superhero fight was good, but it was just that last, like, 12 seconds is what hooked me. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I got to know more.
Okay, so when you go back and rewatch it, you catch little things about the world.
Yeah.
When you watch it again.
Yeah, if you know more about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's such a it throws you into the world so aggressively that I wasn't like focused on any details. It was just letting the whole thing wash over me. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, no, you miss a whole bunch the first time you watch it. Like, you don't even realize you're missing it because you're just so entranced by this world and what's going on. You can miss a whole bunch in there. So going back and rewatching this, I'm like, oh, there's this and that, and like this relates back to something that happens later. So
cool. I like that idea.
I have that feeling of like, oh, I know sort of what's happening.
Interesting. I definitely I was pulled in. I was pulled into the world, but the story of this show specifically, it wasn't until those last 12 seconds. Like the stuff with Midoriya and Spike as the bully, I was like, okay, like there's a bully, like of course there is. Like that all felt pretty typical, I guess, to me. Like nothing about that was particularly interesting to me. it definitely, I will, spoilers for the next couple episodes, it becomes more so. Like, I get more interested in what's going on there as the next episodes come through.
Yeah, no,
but in just this first episode on its own, it was like, this is fine. And then those last 12 seconds, I was like, all right, I'm in. Tell me more. What's going on? I need to know what's happening.
So here's my only thing. If anyone was to start watching this show and they was to stop halfway through episode 2, you wouldn't want to come back to this show.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Like, if you stop there. But if you get to the end of episode 2,
yeah,
you're hooked.
And that's where I was at with the first episode, was the same thing. If I had stopped watching this 30 seconds before it ended, I'd probably be like, yeah, it was all right. I don't know. I'll watch episode 2 someday. But watching the whole episode, like, as soon as episode 1 ended, I started episode 2. Like, all right, I got to see what happens next. So I think it does hold up. The animation is just beautiful, like we said. The world is interesting.
The whole world is, like, drawn perfectly for this environment.
They do this thing I love where, like, when somebody is, like, they do a lot of, like, action shots where somebody's like, I'm doing this on camera. No one will be able to see this. If anyone ever listens to this, they won't be able to see this. But somebody's fist will be, like, super close to the camera in the anime. And the lines will be thicker on their fist than the lines on their face are, to really accentuate how close that is to the camera. And it's a little touch, and I don't know, maybe that's a common thing in manga and anime, but, like, I noticed that in this, and I'm like, that's a cool way to, like, emphasize that something is closer to the camera, is that they draw the lines super thick on the thing close to the camera.
I'm not sure if you've also noticed, they kind of blur the lines in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll do like a depth of field effect where they'll have stuff be out of focus, which it's like, no, it's not. That's not out of focus. This is animation. There's no such thing as focus. But they'll make stuff out of focus in the background.
Yeah, that they'll make stuff blurry in the background on purpose. So they're like, no, this is what you're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah,
and then the backgrounds, and then there will be something that walks in the background that, like, if you're supposed to be focusing on a character in the foreground, in the background, if there's someone walking past, half the time they don't have a face, I think.
Yeah, they'll do, like, simplified drawings in the background. So not only do they blur it, but they also simplify the things that are, like, deeper into the scene.
Yeah,
it's very cinematic. Like, I love the look of it, and it's something that I'm actually kind of surprised that it started as a manga, because it works so well in animation. I mean, I love comic books. Like, I read superhero comic books all the time. So obviously I know that format can work, but this just seems so perfect for visual anime storytelling. I like it.
So I reckon the best like visual representation of this whole show is that picture. So there's, during the hero fight, it cuts back to the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's them talking, and you see the crowd around them. Like, everything looks really beautiful, and you like, but all the characters, they just look like background. Like,
the whole crowd is just kind of a quickly drawn background. But that's not what you're looking at, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, but it's still beautiful. Like, it's really weird to think about it like that. Like, you don't think about, the less detail is in something can still make, like, the rest of the scene look really beautiful. You're like, you're supposed to be focusing in on these characters, so
yeah, it does a good job of like drawing your eye throughout the scenes.
Oh, and the best thing about it is, like, the heroes' costumes and stuff, they really draw the eye as well. Yeah,
everything's flashy, everything's bright. They do a great job with emotions. Like, they really show the emotions on the faces of the characters. It's just,
the way he cries.
This might be a good show. Is I guess what I'm saying is, I think I'm seeing that maybe My Hero Academia is a good show. I know it's a controversial opinion, but
I'm pretty sure that a lot of people love this show.
Really? That's so surprising. All right, let's see. We got 2 more episodes to do. So
yeah,
This has been the Unnamed Animation Discussion Podcast Project. The UADPP. That's not going to be it. Let's not call it that. The UDIP.
The UDIP.
UDIP. I'm Troy. That's MC.
And I am MC. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If we ever put this out where people can listen to it. And next time we'll be talking about My Hero Academia episode 2, which definitely has a title to the episode, and that is What It Takes to Be a Hero.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the best animated shows ever, so far. Find the show on Twitter at baseSFcast or email us at baseSFcast@gmail.com. That's BASESFCAST. Our intro music is Funnin' and Sunnin', and our outro music is Motivator, both by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next time.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
At Probably Work
For more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.